today we get to speak with Mr. Ron Bumblefoot, who has had 30 plus experience in the music industry and is going to speak with us about that, as well as his newest upcoming album, Bumblefoot Returns, coming out January 24th. I hope you enjoy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Let me do enable original sound, and I'm going to give this a little tilt. And there we go. Good. And try and get out of the glare. Happy New Year. Happy 2025.
Yeah. Hopefully, let's cross our fingers and hope. I'm anymore. I try to
It's
be.
off to an interesting start, that's for sure.
It seems like every year we get new surprises. That's
That's
all right though, you just stay on the positive side of things. There's a lot of people doing a lot of amazing things out there, and that's what I hold on to.
exactly. We got to do our part to add the good surprises.
Yes. And speaking of which, my computer's doing some weird stuff. Good surprises. You have the album coming out in a couple weeks, and it's the first instrumental that you've done in a few years, just a couple years.
You?
What made
Yes.
you decide to go back to do an instrumental? I love instrumental albums, so I was super stoked that you were doing
Oh,
another one.
cool. Yeah. I was just always doing vocal music my whole life. Like since the very beginning. I heard Kiss when I was 5 years old, the Kiss Alive album. That made me want to do that. And I wanted to be like them, be a singing guitar player that writes songs in a band and doing everything that they do. But when I got my first record deal, they signed me to do that. And then once I signed, he said, well, could you just do an instrumental album just to introduce you to our, fan base, the label's fan base, because it was more of an instrumental label that had a following of people that listened to guitar music. So I was like, all right. So that was 30 years ago, and I did a guitar album. And since then, I did mainly just music where I sang. Or if I was in a band, I played guitar and there was a singer. And I might throw in a few instrumental songs on my albums here and there, but nothing was a fully instrumental album. So since I did my last album, Little Brother is Watching, in 2015, since then, 10 years between albums now, but they were busy 10 years. I put out the first Art of Anarchy album with Scott Weiland, did the second Art of Anarchy album with Scott Stapp, did a ton of touring, did the first, in 2017, the Sons of Apollo album, and then in 2018 we toured like crazy and did the live album, and then in 2019 I put out one instrumental song, just as a single to put something out. And then we did another Sons of Apollo album, so that's already 5 albums, and produced a lot of bands too. And then the pandemic hit, and there was so much time suddenly. So I did 2 acoustic EPs, put out another instrumental single, put out 3 albums with a band called the Doties that I produce. Fantastic band. They're this duo that remind me of like Nirvana, Radiohead, and the singer has this dynamic, incredible voice, such deep lyrics, and sings, plays guitar. The drummer plays a whole kit with one arm while playing bass on a keyboard with his
Oh my
left hand and
gosh.
singing backing vocals, and they're amazing. And
Wow.
recording them is wonderful because they're just so organic, and it's just the two of them looking at each other in a room, and no click tracks and nothing, just playing for real and just vibing off each other, and it's fantastic stuff. The band is the Dodies, Dodies. So their third album is coming out soon, so I did 3 albums with them, plus tons of guest guitar solos and one-off gigs and all kinds of things, and a lot of music camps and things like that. So it's been a busy 10 years. But during the pandemic, I put out that song, Planetary Lockdown was the name of it, the instrumental single. And had fun with that one. I did this 1 minute video where I play the intro riff, and then in the verse, where I'm normally doing something, I left it empty so that other people can play and add themselves to it. And then I would share them all. And there was about 500 of them
Oh my
that
gosh,
were
that's
done.
cool.
500. I thought maybe 6 people would do it. 500. It was drummers, bass players, keyboardists, singers, other guitar players, flute player, violinist. I mean, so many horn players, like all different types of people were doing this. And it was great to see everybody that would do it. Like they were all, like it was very communal. Everyone was checking out everyone else's stuff and getting to know each other. And it was a great way for all different musicians to stay connected. And yeah, from there I was like, you know what? I want to do a whole instrumental album. I have time to do it, and I started working on it. So in 2020, started writing more instrumental songs, and by 2023, it's pretty much done. I had the album done and ready to be released musically, mixed everything by 2023, June of that year. But then I had the next Art of Anarchy album to come out and the Whom Gods Destroy album to come out. So rather than telling 2 record labels and 8 people that they have to wait for me, I put mine to the side and got those going and got those out, and then I got back to my thing. And it was mostly last year, just a lot of art taking up the time. Like the music was done and I'm just like, in the chair all antsy, just, while I tried to make, the new logo character guitar spaceship thing, and it was coming out awful. So I had to finally just hire someone to do it, and they did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Then I hired a 3D graphic designer to turn it into a 3D model. So this way, instead of having to redraw it at all these different angles every time, you just take the 3D model, change the angle of it, do a 2D image, and you have it. And I could use it for video and all different things. So worked on the music video, which took about a year. I started it myself, just doing all this crazy stuff, and then this fantastic video guy that also does video games, he came on board and he made the video, he made it look like someone that knows how to make a video did it. And we also made a video game that was supposed to come out with the single, a Simon in Space video game. And at the very last minute, a few days before, Apple flagged it and said, oh, this needs additional review. So
Oh,
we have this fun video game. I could show it to you. Let's see. And it's just like an old school retro space shooter kind of game, like old Space Invaders, Galaxian, all those things. And I'm sort of taking the idea of, all right, the first album came out 30 years ago. 30 years of evolution, but not forgetting everything that happened during that time. I want to include everything. So the artwork to the album is similar to my first album in its concept, but just an evolved version of it. Instead of this hand-drawn bee foot thing, now it's like my double neck guitar that I now play, and as a spaceship. And back then, my first album was out on CD and cassette. So this one, I'm doing streaming, download, of course, everything, and CD, vinyl, and
oh,
cassette.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yes.
It's cool that that's come back. It's so funny. I never thought cassettes would come back because they're such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, getting the pencils, like, damn, the thing
Exactly.
goes.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I had so many VHS and cassette tapes eaten. Just broke my heart with some of my favorite movies and music. And so I see cassette
Yeah,
tapes
the
and I'm like,
VHSs were the worst. I
oh
mean,
my
they
gosh.
all, like, these things, when they unraveled, it was awful, but yeah.
Yeah, VHS, you try to pull them out of the machine and it's like literally
It's like, oh
eating.
no. Yeah.
It's done. That's so cool though that I've seen a few bands do that recently, come back with cassettes, and it's a nostalgia thing. So I totally understand why people are wanting to buy them. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. I mean, some people, they still do collect cassettes just for the old school nostalgia,
Yeah.
vintage collection thing, and they even have a player and they can play it, but also just think of it like vintage merch item that also has playable music on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, because few people have asked me. Most people are like, that's amazing, that's so cool. But you get a handful of people that are like, why would you do that?
Oh,
It's like, because it's fun, because life is
yeah.
fun. Don't
And they're
ask why.
clearly not paying attention to what people are wanting because it is a hot commodity.
Yeah, and this is for the people that want it. You know,
Right.
if it's not for you, fine, but you don't govern the universe. This is for the other people that actually want these. So stop
Absolutely.
complaining. If you're a vegan, don't complain about people ordering steaks.
Right.
That's for them, not for you.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me show you something.
Okay.
No offense to vegans.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So it's another way to experience the music is to play the video game while the music plays.
Oh my
So
gosh.
you just got
Oh,
this thing, and it's very simple. You hold it down and you start shooting. And it's all the characters from, and then you get the power-ups. There's
oh
more.
my gosh.
Now these things start shooting at you. So you gotta dodge the bullets while shooting them. Get the power-up. And then this one, you're a pain in my butt.
Have you beat the game yet?
While this one is shooting, and now up here, these guys, you got the mice in the spaceships.
Oh,
You gotta get them. They're shooting too. You get the power up. My God, this is the best I've ever done in this. All right. Killing it, killing it. All right. So this, and doing it as a free game. All right, let me just die off here. Let's just end this. All right. So that, and doing it as just a freebie, just something to make the release of this album fun. Something just to give whatever can be given to people. This couldn't be done 30 years ago, but it could be done now. So
okay.
doing it. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. You already answered a lot of the questions that I was wanting to ask initially, but I still want to go back. Tell me a little bit about, so the video is nuts. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's really cool how you have the close up of your hands on playing because I think people that want to learn how to play Simon and Space, it gives them kind of a visual of how to start kind of emulating what you do. But then there's some wacky ass shit going on in the background with mice and cheese, and then all of a sudden you got like I don't know if they're piranhas. Are they piranhas that are flying at your
There's,
face? Like there's so
oh,
many rubber ducks. Like there's stuff
yeah.
going on. Is
So,
there significance to those items?
there is. Well, first thing is, had to show guitar playing because the audience for this music is guitar players mostly. So I think they would want to see that more than just my animation efforts. So Simon is my cat.
Oh,
And if you look close at the artwork, it's
and
him
the
in the
little
spaceship, and it's
spaceship.
really his
Yes.
face. It is him. So all the things, thinking of all the different toys that I have at home and all the different stuff that Simon likes. So everything from cheese, asteroids, mice, fish, birds. He sees a bird outside, he immediately goes skulking to the window. He's like, who's there? Yeah, definitely. He once did catch a mouse in the house. I'm sorry, mouse. He's always watching, yeah, and he loves the taste of fish. And so these are all the things, and just alien, robot, space versions of them all. So it's all things relating to Simon's arch nemesis that he's dodging and fighting and everything. Yeah,
Oh, that's fun. That's really neat. Um, I'm sure he appreciates it as much as a cat can.
exactly.
Um, so you had mentioned during the last 10 years you've done some guest appearances. I know Lost Symphony was one of them. Kelly told me to tell you hi, by the way. Kelly Carolyn.
Hello.
But Lost Symphony, I love instrumentals. I love Lost Symphony with all of the incredible collaborations and musical geniuses behind all of that. Uh, do you remember? I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. Do you remember that experience?
Oh, I mean, I've done hundreds,
Yeah.
hundreds. What I did do is when I redid my website, which was originally made in 2008, and it wasn't like updated since. So finally updated it, and I spent weeks going through the list of all different things I produced, video games, TV shows, horror movies that I made music for, all the guest solos that I did, and put them in the discography section on my website. So if you go to guest appearances and click on that, there's a list of hundreds of things. And I even found like all the Spotify where they are and put the links so that everyone could hear everybody's songs and everything.
That's cool.
So there is a long list.
Hot commodity.
I do what I can, and and I appreciate if people want me to play on their stuff, and when I'm able to, when there's time. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you had mentioned the kind of video game and alien part of the concept of the not really concept, but idea of at least that song. Liftoff at the very end has such a, I mean, that's what I imagined was it's such a happy sounding song. And then I just imagine like leaving, like a goodbye song, but it's a happy in a happy way, and I guess maybe because it's called Lift Off, it made me think of like, the alien laser beam thing, but in a happy way, as opposed to the not so happy way that we usually see in modern society. But
I
tell me about that.
pictured Simon sleeping peacefully, and I
Oh,
pictured that he just finished all his adventures, and
oh,
now he's going to go into a cryogenic sleep until he hits the next galaxy,
oh,
and and almost like a little guitar lullaby kind
oh,
of thing.
yeah, I love that. One of my favorite songs on the album so far that I've listened to it quite a few times, but sometimes it'll, change throughout every different listening. But the thread, it makes me really emotional. Tell me about that one.
Interesting that you chose that one. Wow. Okay, the thread. So I started writing that song, and it had a different melody to it that it opened up with. And something about it, it's like, I think I stole this melody. I don't know where this is from. Like, this sounds like something, but I don't know what. So I'm part of this email thread for like 10 years of all these different guitar players where we just talk about, like, every day, we're all just chatting about random stuff. Uh, Rarely guitar. Guitarists never talk about guitar. We're talking about food. We're talking about anything, just random stuff. So I hit them up and said, "Where did I steal this from?" And they were like, "I don't know. It sounds kind of familiar, but I can't place it." I don't think you did. I think it's all right. I don't know. It sounds kind of common, but. And then finally, one guy said, "I know what that is because I played it 100 times with the guy that wrote it. It's Gary Moore, Parisian Walkways. Is that the name of the song? Wasn't it an old French song that he did like this beautiful guitar version of it? It was like a, and my thing had like that, and the same similar chord changes. So I was like, all right, back to the drawing board. Let me change this thing around. And I made what is the song now like that. And I showed it to them, and they're like, "Ah, much better. Definitely, it's you. And it doesn't sound like anything else." And then one of my thread mates said, "But maybe you're jumping into the crazy stuff too soon. Maybe like that first break, like do something else, and then the next time go into the weird slappy tappy whatever you're doing." I was like, "Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, let me paste it." And so I did that and showed it to them. I'm like, "Ah, nice, nice." So really, the song wouldn't be what it was without them.
Wow.
So I named it after them and called it The Thread.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was going in a totally different direction with that. That's super interesting though, and that's cool that you have that like collaboration with other colleagues to be able to bounce ideas and stuff like that off of.
And then one of the people on that thread is Steve Vai. So
Mm,
just
that's
ask
how
him,
we
you
got.
want to play on my album? Okay. Yeah.
Jeez. So with that, you have four or five, I can't remember now off the top of my head, collaborations. Did you create those songs specifically with those musicians in mind, or did you just send them kind of samples of different ones and them pick what they wanted, or how did that come about? Brian May's song is such a Brian May thing and is so beautiful.
Thank you. Uh, I wasn't really planning on having any guests, but then I would finish a song and I would listen to it and and I'd be like, something is missing and it's something that I can't give it. And it was almost obvious in those songs, like the song that Steve is on. It's like, it has this like monstrous voice to it from that dubstep, thing going on. And it's like, all right, right after my clean solo thing, suddenly it just comes bam, bashing back in. And it needs a guitar solo that sounds like it's from a different world.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, the one guitar player out there that really makes a guitar sound like an alien is Steve Vai.
Totally.
So it's like he would be the right guy for this. So I asked him. And then the song that Brian May is on, I was just, I wrote this song and then after it was done, it just, it's like it's crying out for his, what he does. Like his spirit would be the final piece to this puzzle that makes this song, and the song would never feel complete if it didn't have that there. Like only he could add that to the song to make the song really be the most that it was meant to be. So I asked him, and he did it. And then the song with Guthrie Govan. So that was when I first decided I was going to make an instrumental album. And the first thing I did is I took this little riff that starts the song, blum, 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 blum. That was something that I came up with when I was 19 years old.
Oh
And
my
I just never
God.
did anything with it. And I was like, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is it's almost like cleaning your house. And it's like, I've had this thing since I was 19 and I haven't done anything with it. Either I'm going to use it or I'm going to throw it out. And so I built that riff up and turned it into a song. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I played on Guthrie's album in 2006, Erotic Cakes, the song Rhode Island Shred. I did the solo and harmony, everything after that. And, he owes me one. And we have been friends since 1989, since I was 19. I was in a
Wow.
guitar magazine and he wrote to me a handwritten letter, stamp envelope. It's like, hi, my name is Guthrie. I'm from the UK. I'm a guitar player. Here, check out my cassette. Here's my demo. And we became pen pals. And for years we would write back and forth. I would write him, a letter saying, hey, check out, these songs that I just wrote. And I would like write out the tab to like the guitar parts and say, here's what I did in this part, this weird riff here. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy this. And we would do that back and forth for years. So when I finished that song and I pictured in the solo section just a trading off back and forth with somebody, I was like, it should be him. Because this song came from the time that we became friends and met each other. And so I asked him, and he did it. And then,
Funeral March.
yeah,
Love
funeral,
it.
that one.
Oh,
The band Thank You Scientist, one of my favorite bands. They're incredible. And I've known Tom Monda since he was like 16 years old. He was a student of mine. And
oh,
yeah, and he just is such a genius and just a wonderful, wonderful person. Yeah, we're close. I was just at his wedding a couple of months ago, and did some touring together in 2017, and his violinist, I mean, the whole band is amazing, but Ben is just, he's a phenomenal violinist. So when I was making this song and I knew I needed this crying violin, he was really, I reached out to him and said, I need you on my song. And he said, okay. So there's that. The song with Brian May, it's Jerry Gaskell on drums from King's X.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, he's the drummer on that, and we're longtime friends, and we're always, we're supposed to have brunch in a couple of weeks. We're always getting together and grabbing some food out in Red Bank, New Jersey, and such a great guy. So when I was making that song, before I was even thinking Brian May, I just, you know what, this song, just the groove of it, the feel, the pocket, I would love to have you on this song. So he came in and had a drum set in here, and we hung out, and he played drums, and yeah,
You just go through your Rolodex of musicians and
yeah,
that's
just
the one for this one.
yeah, yeah. And then once that song was done, Derek, who I'm constantly working with, we talk like every day. We do a million things together nonstop ever since the beginning of Sons of Apollo. Yeah, besides that and Whom Gods Destroy and doing all these studio collaborations for different songs and playing together. And in fact, he just sent me tracks today of something that I'm gonna lay guitar on and mix, and Tony Franklin on bass, and he's on keys for a drummer named Thomas Thunder, this young kid that's like this phenomenal drummer. So we've been playing on his stuff for all his songs. And what else? We're gonna be playing the Kennedy. Derek, Tony Franklin, and Vinny Appice on drums.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for
Wow.
there's a festival called Starmus,
Hmm.
and so should I just continue the sentence right from where I left off? I think we were talking about Kennedy Center, right?
I think yes, I think that's
Yeah. Okay, ready? So, yeah, so April 1st, we're all going to be playing the Kennedy Center together in Washington, D.C. We're doing this festival that we play called Starmus. And I'll tell you about that in a second. So the lineup, it's me and Derek, and we have Tony Franklin on bass and Vinny Appice on drums. And Starmus is this festival that combines astrophysics and music. And
wow.
Brian May is involved with it too,
Of course.
of course. So it's this amazing thing. I'm more excited about the astrophysicist part. They have like Kip Thorne and all these amazing people there giving these lectures, and Hadfield the astronaut, and Aisha, who has a astronomy magazine, and just an amazing cast of people giving these wonderful lectures, and we would all hang out. I've done a few of them, and after it all, we're just hanging out in the lobby bar, just talking about all kinds of random things, and snacking and chatting, and such a bunch of great dudes over there. I've met so many cool people, and get to play some music too. So they do the brainy stuff, and then we entertain them and make some music. So did one in Armenia in 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. And
Oh,
last year we did in Bratislava, Slovakia, and now we're going to do one at the Kennedy Center, and then the end of the month, end of April, we're going to go to the Canary Islands and do another one. And Dino Jalusic, our Whom Gods Destroy singer, is going to join us, and we're going to play a show for the Starmus Festival over there. So, yeah, always, Derek and I are always doing a million things together. Yeah, so he is on keys in the song. He just threw in some big old B3 dirty keys on the Brian May song. And lastly, Kyle Hughes, who is this 16-year-old drummer in the opening band when I did a solo show in Newcastle, UK, 9 years ago. Or was it even 10 years ago? And he was phenomenal. And the opening band, they offered to me and said, we'll be your backing band, we'll learn your songs too. So this way, I was like, sure. So he just stole the show. He was phenomenal, incredible drummer. He's a good-looking kid with a big mane of blonde hair and just like bashing his hair, and he sings backing vocals, and he was great to work with. Total pro. He was more pro as a teenager than half of the adults I've dealt with. So I was like, I got to stick with this kid. He's phenomenal. And we've been working together since. So he plays drums on like the 8 songs on the album that have drums, and just killed it. He did such a phenomenal job. He plays with Richie Kotzen now.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, he's Richie's drummer. And before that, he was playing with Marco Mendoza. And also, oh God, I'm having a brain fart. What's his name? Okay, now I'm gonna play Name That Tune. And okay, he was in was it Rainbow for a second? He was like, since you've been gone, since you've been gone. Na, na. And the singer of Alcatraz, Graham Bonnet. Graham Bonnet. So he was playing with Graham Bonnet. Powerful singer, this guy. He was the singer of the band Alcatraz with Yngwie Malmsteen. Yeah, so he's been doing some great stuff. And now he's playing with Evan Stanley, Paul Stanley's son. They have a band, Amber Wild. And he's doing that. So he's doing more and more. And I'm so happy to see him just doing all these great things. I wish I was more of a touring musician, because I would keep him busy year round if I was. But I'm an old tired man now, and I want to sit in my chair and just complain about kids these days. So yeah, I'm just happy to see him doing a million things, and I can't recommend him and say enough good things about him enough. Yeah, so that's Kyle Hughes. Yes.
So with these younger musicians, my son's a guitar player, and the kid shreds. He plays hours and hours and hours a day. He's been
Nice.
doing guitar lessons with Ro Hayes from 12 Foot Ninja for about a year now, and
Cool.
he has helped him a ton. But he knows that the music industry is a tough thing to be able to get into, and we're in Idaho, it's not like we're a big music capital of the world. And so he's trying to figure out ways to be able to be in the music industry with knowing that it's going to be hard with just his guitar playing alone. We've talked about like sound engineering, audio engineering type of thing. Do you have any advice for some of these younger kids that are coming in and wanting to play music and be in the industry, but understanding that it's a difficult thing to achieve?
Yes. First thing is, life is tough, and you got to be tough, and you got to be strong, and you got to persevere, and you got to kick its butt, and you got to don't let anything stop you. There's going to be a million no's for every yes, and that's just how life works. That's how it goes. That is life. It's not, big conspiracy against you personally. This is life, so expect that. Know that there is going to be tons of no's, and you just keep going until you get that one yes, and that's it. So that's first. Second, be genuine, be authentic, be whoever you are for real. Don't fake your character or any of that. You were put into this world, there's just one of you. And to put on a costume and pretend to be someone else, you're denying the world you. So don't do that. Be you, because honestly, the only reason you wouldn't do that is because you don't have enough confidence or trust or faith in yourself or the world that you are enough. But if you weren't enough, you wouldn't be here as you. You'd be someone else. You're you. So be the most you can be, and amplify the things that make you different and special and unique and make you you. And the world decides from there. It's not up to you what's going to happen with any of it. So the most you can do is be the best version of yourself, and put that best version of yourself out into this world. And the world decides what happens from there. If you make a difference in one person's life, that's wonderful. If you make a difference in a million people's life, that's wonderful. Or anything in between, that's wonderful. The number doesn't even matter. It really doesn't. The fact that you are here and just being here makes a difference. But being here, doing what you do, remember there's a butterfly effect to everything. If you just make one person happy with what you do, that could change their day and how they interact with a bunch of people. And the same happens to them. Instead of yelling at someone, they're maybe a little more patient in that moment, and it makes a difference in that person either cracking or not. And they go on to, there is a butterfly effect to the positivity and the negativity that you put into this world. So we have a duty and an obligation to serve mankind the right way. And when you put your music out there, whatever it is that you do, just be your best. There's that. Okay. And remember that the universe decides what happens with it, and whatever the universe decides, be cool with it. As long as you did your best, you should be cool with it. If you didn't do your best, then you need to kick yourself in the ass and work harder and improve yourself. Because even I'm 55, I am still a work in progress. I am still learning and growing, and I will be looking at myself in 10 years and saying, what a stupid kid I was at 55. That happens. And that's supposed to happen. The day you stop growing is the day you start sucking.
Yeah.
So if there is an infinite road ahead of you of everything that you can achieve and everything you can be and everything you can learn and how much better you can get, compared to that infinite road, no matter how far you've gotten, you're still at the very beginning, at the starting line. So remember that. Have that humble humility. Know that you are forever a student and you're just starting out and you have ways to go. Whatever you learn how to do, share it. Someone taught it to you, do the same and share it and teach it to others. And don't invest everything in just one stock. Don't just be a guitarist that plays on stage. Or you can have things that you love the most, but you should really be able to do a lot of things. So, fine, you want to be a guitar player? Cool. You're learning how to play guitar? Teach it. Teach how to play guitar. Okay, you can play on stage? Play on stage. And you're doing it for yourself, do it for other people. Play for lots of people too. You have your own band? Cool, do that. You're writing songs in that band? Write with other people too. Make music not just for your band, but just make music. You might write a song and say, this is wrong for my band. It's like some weird pop song. All right, give it to a publishing company and see if they have a pop star that's going to want to use that song. What else? Okay, you are good at doing the social media stuff for your band. You're good at designing things for it. Okay, start designing album art for people. Maybe even, do social media for another band. Like, there's a million things you could be doing that, like, this tree has so many branches and branches off of those branches. Explore them all. And what you find is you're going to find passions in places that you didn't plan on when you first started out. We all start out one way. I want to be a rock star and playing guitar or whatever you want to play or whatever you want to do. And that's what we envision. Like, we see the final result, we see the icing of the cake. And then as you get into it, you start seeing what's beneath the icing and all these layers and all the cooking that goes into it and everything that goes into it. And it's good to know how to do all of that stuff. Not just to know how to do it, but also to know when someone is scamming you and doing it wrong and lying and bullshitting and not doing their job, because 99.9% of the so-called music industry is bullshitters. It is unqualified people that didn't go to school and get a license or a degree or training or anything. They just want to attach themselves onto you like a leech and ride on you and suck your blood until it's dry, and then they'll do it to someone else. And there is a ton of that in this music business because you don't need qualifications. You just need to be a good liar and just say, hey, I'm a manager. Now you're a manager. Hey, I'm a producer. Now I'm a producer. Yeah. So know what those titles entail so that you know when someone is not doing their job and you really need to get good at seeing through the bullshit. And the best way to do that is by getting screwed a million times, which will happen. And the more that happens, the more you learn. Each time you're being sent to school and you're being trained and you're getting smarter. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, getting screwed is a bad thing, but what you learn from it is a
Yeah,
good thing. Yeah, it makes you less naive and makes you just a lot wiser and just a lot smarter across the board. And so many, when it comes to so many branches of that tree. What else? I mean, I could go on and on for hours about this stuff, but you know what? I'll leave it at that. Okay.
no, that's a lot of really great advice. And yeah, you went like into motivational speaker mode there. That was a lot of really, really good advice, really good ways of being able to remember just kind of life advice too. I mean, just even outside of the music industry, So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna send that to him and
Good.
let him uh, gnaw on that for a while as well. Um, Now, something I'd like to ask everybody because I think it's really important, especially with as busy as you are and as many hats as you're wearing. What are some things that you do to keep balance in life or self-care to make sure that you're staying sane when you're staying so busy?
Staying sane. I don't know if I did that. Let's see. Well, number one, 8 hours of sleep. Keeps your brain cleaned out, keeps it strong, it keeps your tolerance and your threshold in the right place. So, 8 hours of sleep. Doesn't matter how busy your days are. You can have 16 hours functional or 20 hours not so functional and screwing up. So, 8 hours of sleep. Eat healthy. You're definitely made of what you consume. So, and that not just goes for food, it goes for everything. So, eat healthy. And the first thing I do when I wake up is I have a healthy breakfast and I read. I read whether it's Stoic philosophy or science developments, things like that. Things to put the brain on the right path and wake it up and not start the day with utter doom and gloom and all that stuff. You don't want to train your brain to, like our brains are so trained to react without thinking and to seek out the wrong kind of stuff to stimulate us.
Yeah.
No. So start with that. Then I hit the gym. Today was leg day. I hate leg
Oh,
day. I hate leg day. But leg day. Then come here to the studio. It's nice and peaceful and good and get to work. Started laying a guest guitar solo for someone. I downloaded files for another one I got to do. And then started chatting with you. So,
wow.
yeah. When I get home, I try not to stay here too long. Get home, have dinner, quality time with Simon, catch up on more emails and do things that I can do at home and don't need to be here to do.
Yeah.
And whether it's, prepping social media posts and things or answering certain emails or whatever file stuff I need to do. Yeah, I don't waste studio time on things that I could do away from there. And that's it. Maybe you just watch some TV shows and just hang and then go to bed.
Do you have a favorite book? I'm a huge reader. I do the same thing. I have coffee and read every morning before I jump on the treadmill, and it
Mhm.
helps get me positively ready for the day. Neuroplasticity is one of the most important topics that I think a lot of people don't know about that I think is so important. So
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
do you have a favorite book?
I have a bunch of books. Like I keep at the studio, I keep a lot of music books.
Hmm.
But also, I have, oh,
Oh, Ryan
speaking of,
Holiday.
okay,
Yeah.
here we have this one,
Oh,
got the
oh,
Moon
interesting.
Mission. Then I have Ryan Holiday, who has dailystoic.com, a lot of his books here. And what else do we have? Let's take a look. Dee Snider's book, John Lennon. Here's a book on Eddie Van Halen, some guitar stuff. What else do we got? The Whom Gods Destroy Insanium Ted book.
Nice.
Another Beatles book, and yeah, just books, books, books. But at home, like these are just a lot of the music books. This is not a real skull. This is made of concrete. Uh, a book on Swanemski.
Ooh.
So let's see. What are the most recent books? One book that I got when I was younger that I really loved. It was a book about a mathematician, a musician, and an artist, and comparing what they all did, how they related to each other. These three specific ones. Probably gonna pronounce his name wrong. Kurt, is it Gödel? I always said Godel, but Gödel. And MC Escher, my favorite artist, because he would just draw things that looked three-dimensional, but they would be impossible in 3D. And Bach, and it's called The Eternal Golden Braid, and it just
Oh.
compared the three of them and how they sort of intertwined, but just in their own mediums.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I just got one, actually my father-in-law, he just got me this book on quantum theory and entanglement that I gotta look into and try and make heads or tails out of it.
Yeah, Michio Kaku is really good at putting physics and quantum physics into like more layman's terms.
For apes like me to understand, yes.
Same, same. It's a
I mean, it's
fascinating
incredible.
subject, but
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. I mean, we could talk another hour about that, but yeah.
yeah, well, I'll definitely not be taking another hour of your time, but I'll hurry and show you what. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. I'll hurry and show you what I got in my background here.
Oh, you got a couple of books.
I got books.
Nice.
I got lots of books. I love to read. Um,
That's wonderful. What's your favorite?
I
I'm
have
sure
a
it always
common.
changes, but
I have, well, it does, and I could name 50 of them that are my favorite, but my favorite that I've had for a really long time is a very controversial book, but Catcher in the Rye. I love that book. I think
yeah.
it's an incredible book of, and Holden is such a quirky character that has such a deep thinking personality that I love that. I love his quirkiness that he just does these bizarre things out of nowhere because I definitely have that personality where if someone is not like comfortable with me or knows me and I start just doing something weird, they're gonna look at me weird. But I'm just like, I
Nice.
enjoy life. It's just who I am. And then yeah, he just has a very deep way of thinking about life, and I like that. But not a lot of people love that book. I get a lot of
Really?
flack for it. Oh yeah, no,
I
it's
mean,
a
it's such a
very
classic. I never thought of it as divisive. Like to me, it's
uh
like you may not agree with everything that you know about it, but you have to appreciate it. I
yeah.
would think that,
A
yeah.
lot of people think he's just whiny and I don't know, over the top. And I'm like, that's fine.
Aren't we all sometimes?
Right. Yeah. And then like Search for Meaning is one of my favorites. The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, is another favorite. But yeah, I can name a million. Have you read Man's Search for Meaning
I haven't.
by
I
Viktor
know the book,
Frankl?
but I haven't read it.
It's a
Yeah.
really good one. It's Unbroken I really like that one. Um, but yeah, I like a lot of like development ones that make you really think and
Mhm.
make you want to keep, like you had mentioned before, keep like growing and moving forward and understanding your flaws and trying to
Was it Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements?
yep, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
I mean,
quick
it's a
one.
short, simple read,
Yeah,
but it does stick.
it really does. It really
Yeah.
does. That's another really good one. Yeah. Yeah, I love to read. I'm reading one right now called 100 Ways to Change Your Life. And I just finished, you had mentioned that you had that show in Armenia. I just finished Serge's book and I learned a lot of history about Armenia that I had no idea on. It
Yeah.
was an incredible book and I have a whole new big respect for him. He's a very humble, seems to be in the book, a very humble and good dude. But
Yeah.
uh, but yeah,
Good.
I could ask you probably a billion questions. I have pages and pages, but I've already taken up so much of your time. And I know that you've got a busy, busy schedule. So I appreciate it so much.
Well, it's great chatting with you. Absolutely. We have to do it again.
Definitely, definitely. Anytime. I would very much enjoy that.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes.
Congrats on the upcoming release. I'm super excited to see what everybody says.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome. Great.
So you have a great one. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.